Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. Back to jump on a thread that's kind of been going around the VC. I saw a video that Daryl, the Northern Vinyl guy, did, and he had referenced that he was kind of influenced by, I think it was Chris Mann, so I went over to his channel and kind of saw his video, but I wasn't quite able to figure out who started it, but it was a fun looking thread, wanted to kind of jump on board and just kind of put my 2 cents in. So plain and simple, it was share 20 greatest hits albums. That simple. I know some people kind of mention, why they collect greatest hits or what they liked and didn't like and that type of thing. I've always loved greatest hits. Even if I'm, trying to be a completionist with an artist and I have so many of their studio albums and blah, 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 like I will not hesitate to have a greatest hits right in there with everything. Matter of fact, whenever I put my records in the bins, everything is chronological for the artist, and I have all of their studio albums right up front, and then at the very end of that particular artist, that's where the greatest hits sit, if I do have anything. Excuse me. So I absolutely love them. And just to kind of like show all that I have in my collection, I have a ton, so I couldn't figure out like how to narrow it down. So what I thought I would do is, when I give myself parameters, it becomes a bit easier. So I thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to show 20 greatest hits albums, but I'm going to show the 20 greatest hits albums that I owned and played the most on CD. So kind of before I got into vinyl and all of that, like, exact same album artwork and everything else, like almost to the point where when I look at these records, I see the CD more so than I see the record, because the CD is what ingrained these greatest hits albums in me so much. So that's kind of how I decided to kind of narrow it down. And so, yeah, let's just kind of jump right into it. I did end up, I pulled like maybe 28 or so. So I'll tell you what, it's not to get extra points or anything. So let me just show the ones that didn't quite make the cut. And again, CDs I own that I just played so much. And actually, I'm skipping this one because a number of people already showed it. So I went ahead and didn't put this one in my top 20 because I'm sure it would have made the top 20, because who didn't play this to no end? Journey's greatest hits. Billy Idol's greatest hits, or the best of. That was another great one. The best of REM, In Time. Another good one there. I think that originally came out in 2003. Creed's greatest hits. Same thing. For the longest time, there was no Creed out on vinyl, so CDs were all we had, and I love that greatest hits. Howlin' Wolf, Blues from Hell. Again, the ones that didn't quite make it. Bo Diddley's The Singles Collection. I did play this CD a lot. A lot back in the day. As well as this one, Bob Seger's greatest hits. That's another fantastic album right there. And last but not least, the ones that almost made the cut, the Smashing Pumpkins greatest hits. Another CD that I played a lot. So those were some that just barely didn't make the cut. But then these are the 20. And yeah, these are the ones I said really are seared in my mind. Like I said, I cannot look at these records without actually visualizing the CD as opposed to the other way around. And we'll start here with Eddie Money, Sounds of Money. Whew, man, I can't even begin to count how many times this CD spun in or probably between my Mustang and then going to my pickup truck. That was probably the two places where I was just playing the heck out of this. But yeah, fantastic greatest hits from 1989. Everything you would expect, 2 Tickets to Paradise, Baby Hold On, stuff from the 80s like Take Me Home Tonight, all that good stuff. And then of course, like one of my favorite just rock songs of all time, which is Shakin', and that's just one of my absolute jams. So love the Money Man, and yeah, that's, again, I just so see that CD. Now this one, I don't quite see it the same because this is a different album cover than what was on the CD, but basically the exact same CD, which of course is same album, which is Tom Petty's Greatest Hits from 1993. One of the first CDs that I bought back when I started collecting CDs, way back in the day, and yeah, it just kind of gave you all the great Tom Petty that you would want. Matter of fact, it probably wasn't until I started collecting vinyl that I actually had any Tom Petty studio albums, because I only played that Greatest Hits CD to no end back in the day. Another great one here, Shaking the Trees, Peter Gabriel, and this is his greatest hits from 1990. Um, Really kind of plays around mostly in his 80s world for the most part. I mean, you have stuff on here like Salisbury Hill, a lot of stuff from the album So, like Sledgehammer, Don't Give Up, Red Rain, Big Time, stuff like that. So yeah, really, really awesome album. And this is a great one to me. This is one of those classic record pressings. Um, Got this as VCOT like 15 years ago, and to this day I still haven't opened it yet. It's just, there was just something that just seemed so nice about it. I was like, I can't open it. And I still have the CD and play it to no end, but beautiful sealed copy of that. But yeah, that's another CD I played a lot. This one might arguably be the CD that I played the most back in the day, and I was so excited. I think year before last when they finally pressed this again. Rolling Stones 40 Licks, just an absolute perfect greatest hits. I think they did a box set, a small box set, I think at some point in time. I'll take my word on that. But this is a 4 LP in a regular gatefold. It's kind of a bigger, thicker gatefold with 4 LPs. And yeah, I mean, this CD just like, it's so easy to see it with just the, obviously the same album artwork, the exact same artwork on the back. And when you open up the CD case, they were just silver CDs with kind of like a white frosted tongue that was on the front. And gosh, I played that thing so much. But just a great kind of follow-up from, Rocks, another popular greatest hits album, but with them. But yeah, you get everything on here from, Give Me Shelter, No Satisfaction, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Can't Always Get What You Want, going into Sympathy from the Devil, and then going into some of the 80s stuff like Start Me Up, Brown Sugar, Beast of Burden, Mixed Emotions, just a nice mixture of great Stone stuff. So we had one of my absolute favorite greatest hits on vinyl to own, and it was my favorite CD, probably my favorite greatest hit CD to own back in the day as well. And these next two are probably at a close second with it. Turn It On Again, Genesis, another awesome greatest hits, mainly focusing on all the Phil Collins Genesis, which I love the Peter Genesis. I love the Phil Collins Genesis. Turn It On Again, Invisible Touch, Land of Confusion, I Can't Dance, Follow Me, Hold On My Heart, No Son of Mine, Tonight, In Too Deep, and on and on and on. It's an awesome 2 LP set right there. And yeah, I'm surprised I didn't wear out a couple of copies of that CD. And same here, Pet Shop Boys discography. Whew, man. Back in the early 90s, I remember playing this CD out to no end. They've had original pressings of this out for quite some time. I think it came out in 91. But, you were paying $250, $300 to get a copy of it. And just like a month or two ago, they just reissued it, which was fantastic. It's on blue vinyl. But, yeah, 2 LP, Pet Shop Boys. Again, our greatest hits. West End Girls. Opportunities, It's a Sin, What Have I Done to Deserve This, Always on My Mind, Domino Dancing, and on and on and on. Another fantastic one. And this is another one that kind of gives me goosebumps to see the cover on vinyl, just as much as it's seared into my mind from the CD. Same thing here, Motley Crue's Greatest Hits, another one that we played a lot back in the day. Of course, I think this is kind of the second version of it, which because with the CD, it was kind of like a gold. I think it did a vinyl pressing that way too, but it's a goldish haze, not a reddish haze like you see here. And with the red one, Saints of Los Angeles wasn't out, I think, when they did that first pressing of it. So this is kind of a second pressing because Saints of Los Angeles stuff is on here. But yeah, the Motley Crue's Greatest Hits, that was another one that they got played endlessly. Including this, Human League's Greatest Hits, another fantastic one. 1988, and yeah, I mean, Keep Feeling Fascination, Human, Don't You Want Me, all that great 80s synth stuff that just made them stars back in the day. So that was another one. They got a lot of CD spin. Poison's Greatest Hits. Fantastic one here. This was I think it was a 2 CD set, and again, all the things you would expect to hear from Poison. I mean, this originally was released in, was it 2020? So there wasn't a long time frame between the CD coming out and the vinyl, but yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it was just nice to finally have it. So another CD that I just played a lot before I got the vinyl. And again, going well back into the early 90s when I got this CD, Eurythmics Greatest Hits. This came out in 1991, I believe. Sweet Dreams, Who's That Girl, Here Comes the Rain, Missionary Man. I mean, just again, all the hits you would expect from the Eurythmics. Another fantastic one. And one that is probably in the top 5 on this list, New Order Substance. Another fantastic Greatest Hits. I mean, this is a very nice OG pressing, but it is kind of nice that they got around to reissuing this about a year or two ago. Now, I remember getting this CD freshman year of college. I mean, this came out in 87, so freshman year of college is like 91, 92. I lived in the dorms where we had a suite mates, 2 people in a room, a bathroom, 2 people in a room. So all 4 of you shared that one bathroom, with doors going to each suite. And from 5 to 7 in the dorm was the hours where you could play your music or make as much noise as you wanted. 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. So that was always the time where anyone who had a guitar or wanted to blast their stereo, that's when they did it. And so I come home one day, my suite mate's blasting this song, and I'm just like, holy cow, what is that? I go through the bathroom, go over to their door, knock on it. I'm like, Jimmy, dude, what is that you're playing? And he was like, Bizarre Love Triangle, New Order. And he showed me a few other things, and that weekend I was off racing to get that CD because I was like, that is awesome. And that was how I was introduced to New Order, and that's how I got that CD, and yeah. So again, that's another one. Just looking at that cover brings back so many memories. This might be cheating a little bit because this is, I guess, more of a live album technically, but basically plays like a greatest hits. Eagles, Hell Freezes Over. I actually like this as a greatest hits better than the Eagles' greatest hits albums. Well recorded, and of course, as live performers, they are fantastic and sound great. And yeah, another CD that I played to no end. Matter of fact, CD and DVD, because I used to do, kind of play the video of, my 5.1 system back in the day, and this and Fleetwood Mac The Dance. I listened to that. I watched both those DVDs so much. And actually, the dance should probably be in here as well. So yeah, that easily makes my list. And Queen Greatest Hits 2. I feel like the first Greatest Hits always gets a lot of love, but I feel like this one gets skipped over a little bit. But I did have both of those on CD, but I played this one a lot more than just the Queen's Greatest Hits. I played a part 2 a lot more. Mainly because of 2 songs, and it was Radio Gaga and I Want to Break Free. Those were kind of my 2 favorite Queen songs, so I gravitated towards this greatest hits a lot more back in the day. So that was kind of cool to finally get that on vinyl as well. Great 2 LP set there. And my girl, Pat Benatar. There's a ton of Pat Benatar's greatest hits CDs and, icon CDs and all that kind of stuff. But this specific album, this was the greatest hit CD that I had back in the day. And again, it was just, it was perfect from a greatest hit standpoint. So finally finding this on vinyl was awesome. This came out in 1989. Love is a Battlefield, Promises in the Dark, One Love, All Fired Up, We Live for Love, Hell's for Children, Shadows of the Night, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, We Belong, Invincible, Fire and Ice, Heartbreaker. Pat freaking Benatar right there. Yeah, that was a great CD. Another one, Gap Band, Gap Gold, my boys right here, man, I tell you. And yeah, this came out in 85, I believe, and just another one of those, like, this is the album that cemented the Gap Band for me. It wasn't until a lot later when I started collecting vinyl that I actually started diving into more of their individual studio albums. Like this one album and this CD was all Gap Band as far as I knew and as far as I was concerned for many, many years. But I mean, Burn Rubber on Me, outstanding. Party Train, Stay With Me, You Drop the Bomb, Early in the Morning. It was kind of enough to cover a lot of the greatness of the Gap Band. So yeah, like Gap Gold, another CD that just got played to no end. And this was right there with it. Roger and Zapp, or Zapp and Roger, I should say. All the greatest hits. Now the cover was a little different on the CD. It had like it was more of gold around the edge and had a picture of Roger in the middle, kind of holding. I think it was like a globe, like an Earth. He was holding that. But same songs and everything. And yeah, this was one that again I played to no end. I mean, I think a lot of people did, especially in the early days of hip hop, because this was arguably one of the most sampled groups in all of hip hop. They were just kind of the masters of that 80s electric voice box funk groove type of thing. And I mean, everybody and their mom sampled something from Zapp and Roger. So another great one here. I really do wish they would have used the original cover though. That actually disappointed me when I saw this had gotten reissued because again, that CD is so seared in my mind. I wanted to have that on vinyl. But they did this one right. This was probably the one Lionel Richie CD I had for the longest time until I started collecting vinyl. Lionel Richie Back to Front. This was a greatest hits album from Lionel Richie from 1992. And again, a CD that I just played so much. Nice little mixture of stuff. There's one or two songs on here from like the Commodores time frame, like, Sail On and a couple things like that. But, Do It To Me One More Time, My Destiny, All Night Long, Easy, Still, Endless Love, Hello, Penny Lover, Running with the Night, Truly, Say You, Say Me, on and on and on. Yeah, so for the longest time, this CD was just like, it was all the Lionel Richie that I needed right there, and still one of my favorites. Matter of fact, in my next What's Been Spinning video, I played this CD like last week. I was playing this CD, so that's still in good rotation. Tina Turner, Simply the Best. Again, another one I just could not get enough of. And the other thing I used to play a lot with this one too is not only the CD, but I had the DVD with all the videos on it, and I used to watch that all the time. I love it. And they kept everything the exact same. The only difference is they swapped out two songs off of this vinyl reissue, which I don't know why they did that. And it really kind of ticked me off because one of my favorite songs on the CD was and on the video, the DVD, was Look Me in the Heart. One of my favorite songs by Tina going into that later 80s time period. And they took that off of the reissue on the vinyl. I don't know why. I think they replaced it with Be Tender With Me, Baby. I think that's what they replaced it with. But like all the other songs, they kept the same. I don't know why they freaking did that. And it kind of ticked me off when I first bought this. But other than that, same tracks, same artwork, the whole nine. They just screwed that up for some reason, that one song. And even though this isn't my favorite Clapton necessarily to listen to now, this was the Clapton that I spun all the time, was this Best Of. Again, another one of those, just look at the cover and the CD. It's just, the CD cover is actually what's seared into my mind. And this came out in 1999, and this was kind of a nice little mixture because, it gave you Layla, it gave you Wonderful Tonight, so some slightly older Clapton stuff. But my favorite Clapton album at the time, kind of the late 90s, early 2000s, was Pilgrim. So with this one here, they had the song Change the World, and Tears in Heaven, but then they also had like My Father's Eyes and like River of Tears and a couple things that were some of my favorite tracks off of Pilgrim. So that did make it a CD that I loved spinning a lot back in the day and was pretty pumped. I think this was 2023 when they ended up reissuing this. So to get that on vinyl after all those years was great. And last but not least, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm sure a CD that most of us had back in the day. I think this came out around 2003, somewhere in that ballpark, early 2000s. And this is just kind of another CD that you would just throw on and, throw in the car and listen to from front to back. Under the Bridge, Give It Away, Soul to Squeeze, Suck My Kiss, just on and on and on. So that was another CD that I listened to a lot back in the day. But yeah, so there you go. That's 20 greatest hits albums that made themselves great by me listening to them to no end on CD. Like I said, I do have a lot of greatest hits and some more that I kind of wanted to show. So maybe I'll come back and do a part 2 with a different, kind of way to segment out another 20 there, because it's definitely fun to do. Appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you think, and we will talk to you soon. All right, take care, guys.